Hey man, how you doing? In today's video, I'm basically talking about something that is so fundamental to being a strong, solid, capable, competent man and avoiding the pull of Peter Pan syndrome, being a man-child with arrested development, being psychologically stuck at 12 years old. Like so many men I see today, so many men who come and see me to work with me, so many men who book a free call with me to talk to me, they really resonate with the message that I've put out in the past about Peter Pan syndrome. This idea of being psychologically around the age of 12, around the age of 14, despite being 30, despite being 40, despite being 50. A lot of men resonate with that message, and I honestly believe in today's society in the West we are seeing a pandemic or epidemic, whichever one it is, level proportions of men who basically never grew up. This isn't me being mean, this isn't me being nasty, and this certainly isn't me blaming the men saying it's your fault. The society is not set up and is not here to bring men into maturation in the same way that it used to be, for a variety of reasons that I won't get into today. But one thing I will point out today, one thing I'm going to talk about is something that's extremely important, and it's also a pattern I keep seeing in men who have arrested development, who aren't reaching their potential in their life, who don't do what they say they're going to do, who don't trust themselves, who know what to do and just don't do it, who stay stuck in this comfortable sort of comfort zone, this like numbing state of avoidance for potentially 10, 20 years, decades. So, mate, let me just tell you what happened recently. Something happened recently that got me thinking about this. And once this thing happened, I started seeing it all over the place. It was quite remarkable. So here's what happened. So obviously, if you guys have been watching me for any length of time, you know that I'm a men's coach. You know that I work with men. On what? It's more like a men's life coach pretty much at this point, helping them level up in all sorts of different areas, mentally, emotionally, relationally, in their career, etc. So I had a person book a call with me after watching one of my videos about Peter Pan syndrome, right? And which is everything I just talked about a second ago. He saw a Peter Pan syndrome video where I point out many signs that you have Peter Pan syndrome. And he resonated with practically every sign. Okay, so he books a call with me. He jumps on the call. And he's a lovely guy. I can tell he's very nervous and very anxious, okay? So we're talking away, telling me all about his situation, and he says a few things. He says, I feel like I'm still a kid. Right? He says, I feel like I'm still a kid. He says, I don't trust myself. He says, I don't stick to commitments. He says, I constantly avoid difficult things. And I was like, right, okay, that sounds difficult. And I asked him to tell me about his upbringing a little bit, just not too much. I'm not like a psychoanalyst, but tell me a little bit. Tell me about you. I said, tell me about your current situation. You know, he tells me that he feels like his mum controls him. His mum's in control of his life. His mum judges him. His mum criticises him. His mum always has things to say about him. His dad wasn't really in the picture very much. His dad was either physically absent, and when he was present, he was basically emotionally passive. Didn't provide him with structure, didn't provide him with boundaries, didn't provide him with, didn't challenge him. And he openly tells me, this man, that in his entire life, he's been sheltered and sort of shielded from any consequences and any pain and any difficulty and any challenge. So he's very sheltered. He lived a very sheltered existence growing up. And right now, I'm thinking, all the pieces are starting to make sense. You know, with his upbringing and with his conditioning, it makes sense to me why he feels ill-equipped to tackle life, because he's been sheltered and shielded from any sense of difficulty. But there's also something I'm a bit nervous about. I'm like, right, I'm going to take him on as a client, but I got this sense that at some point, the exact same way that he responds to life habitually will come into the coaching dynamic at some point, and we might have to have some uncomfortable conversations, because what I do with my coaching, it's commitment driven. Okay, we make a commitment together for a set amount of time, and we make a commitment that if I'm going to suggest certain habits to you and a system for you, etc., you actually do it. if we say, like, for example, when a man works with me for 12 weeks, I say to him, absolutely no substances, no drugs, no alcohol, no vaping, no smoking, no weed, no nothing. If you work with me for 3 months, you are pure, clean, and sober. That is a condition of working with me. So I basically tell him that I invite him to work with me. He says yes. And what happened after that is I say, right, okay, all we need to do now is he pays a deposit, and then he signs the contract, which he did. He did both the things. He paid the deposit over the phone, and he looked at the contract, and he signed it. I signed it. And here's something. On the contract, it has very clear, the deposit, no refund thing written down, okay? So we book a first session, and then I prepare the full sort of curriculum for the 12 weeks and all the rest of it, and get ready. Now, a first session rolls around, and I get a message. Well, actually, no, that's not actually how it happened. The first session rolls around, and he doesn't show up for the call. Okay, so I'm sat there waiting for him on the call. He doesn't show up, and then I don't hear from him for 3 days after the call that was supposed to happen. But then he messages me out of the blue saying, "Hey, sorry, I've been radio silent." And basically, the gist of it is that he had kind of an anxiety attack, so to speak, before the session was meant to go down, which doesn't surprise me, right? Because when a man finally decides to work with me and says, right, we're going to change our life, it's not comfortable. It's going to shake him up out of his comfort zone, all right? And that can be quite an intense process in the beginning and along. So, but then what he said was, so I don't think working together would be the best option right now. Let me just get the refund, and then I'll be out your hair, kind of thing. And then my response must have shocked him, because I was like, no refund. And he was like, what? He was like shocked. He was like, what do you mean? We've not worked together yet. And I was like, that doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter, because we signed a contract. We made an agreement. It's in writing. You signed it. That's like a handshake between me and you. And he was shocked by that. He was shocked. He was upset. He was disappointed. He started threatening to legally pursue this and get some money back and whatever. But here's the thing. His entire life, and I made a couple of videos just sort of explaining this to him, exactly why this is important for his development. I'm like, I want to know, and he told me on the first call anyway, that his entire life he's been sheltered from consequences. He didn't have a father that told him the importance of a commitment. He didn't have a fatherly presence, and he didn't have strong boundaries and strong consequences for his actions. Well, here's the thing. When you don't have consequences for your mistakes, you don't learn from anything. And when you don't learn from your mistakes, you don't build the self-trust necessary to face life. You think when people go out there and experience life and do crazy things and take risks and grow their skills and become like real players in the world, do you really think they do that without trusting themselves? They do this through consistently going through the fire, fucking up, feeling the pain, feeling the discomfort, and learning from their mistakes and experiences. This is what builds confidence as a man. But if you consistently avoid consequences, if you consistently break agreements, if you consistently say you're going to do one thing and you do something else, then here's the thing, here's the effect of that. You don't even trust yourself. You don't even believe your own words, your own thoughts, your own desires. I'm going to do this, I should do this. You know, the subconscious in the background knows that you are full of shit, because your subconscious is constantly watching you. Your subconscious will look back at your behavior and look back at your past and be like, look, you might say you want to get ripped with your health. You might say you want to build a business, but look at the past. Look at the amount of times when you've said you wanted to do this and you never did shit. You didn't do jack shit about it. This is the importance of doing what you say you're going to do and making a commitment and sticking to it. This is the importance of consequences and commitments, okay? You make a commitment to yourself, and you make sure that whatever that commitment is, there is a consequence to be paid for it. Now, in this case, with this potential client, the consequence was, right, so we are going to agree to change your life. You've come to me to change your life. We've also identified some roadblocks in the past, which is that you avoid consequences and that you avoid accountability and you avoid commitments and you constantly don't do what you say you're going to do and violate your own word. Well, the very first commitment was to me, right? So then we made that commitment and stuff, and then it all, and there's a very clear consequence there. The deposit, it's not about the money, man. It's about there being some sort of consequence for breaking a commitment. Because life, it's like a representation of life. You don't do what you say you're going to do, you break commitments all the time, then you'll pay a social price for that, because people will get a sense from you that you're not trustworthy. So then you'll be alone, you'll be lonely. People won't want to play the game with you, right? But the most important one is that you won't trust yourself. So that's basically it. So with this video, I invite you to do something. I invite you to, if you resonate with my client and the situation that he experienced, and if you resonate with everything I talked about the Peter Pan syndrome, about not trusting yourself, about not doing what you say you're going to do, then what I challenge you to do, man, I've got a challenge for you. My challenge is for you to pick one habit that you've been putting off. Pick an area of your life that you've been putting up with something, right? It could be anything. And I want you to commit for 30 days to do something. Okay, do something that takes you out your comfort zone a little bit, but not so much that you can't do it for 30 days. Right? You got to make it so that you are capable of doing the thing. Okay, so that might be going to bed by 11. That might be deleting dating apps for 30 days and saying hello to one new woman a day. If you want to improve your dating life, it might be, if you're building a business, it might be, okay, I'm going to send 10 cold DMs or send 5 prospecting emails a day, or whatever the deal is, right? You decide. But I want you to get the conditions of that challenge in writing, and I want you to get a trusted person to sign it. Sign, print, date, both of you. And on that document, you can use ChatGPT, by the way, to help you sort of come up with a document for this that's kind of legally binding as well. And there should be a consequence to it. So if you break that 30-day challenge to yourself, if you break it, then you say pay $500 to a charity of your friend's choosing. Bonus points if your friend chooses a charity you fucking hate as well. That also helps. So this, I think he talks about this in Atomic Habits, James Clear, as well. He talks about the importance of a commitment like this. But what this will do is this will get you into the habit, not of just necessarily doing the habit in itself. It will get you into a more meta habit, which is to take your own word fucking seriously. Right? Because the more evidence you can build that you do what you say you're going to do, the more confident you're going to be in the future, whenever you set a goal, then you believe in yourself. This reduces anxiety and fear drastically, boosts your confidence, existential confidence, because you know that you can trust yourself. And only when you do that, only when you build that self-trust, will you break the chains of dependency that keep you psychologically stuck as a child and finally become an independent, self-respecting man who is a leader, not a people pleaser. Only then will you do that, because that's how you build independence, through self-trust, knowing your own competency. That's it for today, man. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.